Hello everyone, my name is Brynley Pulsifer, and today I will be presenting about Cromwell, Milton, and the Interregnum from 1649 to 1660. My goal for this presentation is that you will all understand each of these individually and then how they all tie together. I learned a lot, so I hope you do too. Oliver Cromwell was an English general and statesman who led armies of the Parliament of England against King Charles I during the English Civil War, subsequently ruling the British Isles as Lord and Protector. He acted simultaneously as head of state and head of government of the new Republican Commonwealth. He was a military commander and general. Something very interesting, little is known about the first 40 years of his life. Considering how famous and well known he is, I thought this was really interesting. Only 4 of his letters, his personal letters that he actually wrote himself, have survived through history, and that's all they found and have kept. He was a very intensely religious man. He converted to Puritanism about 20 to 30 years into his life, or a little younger, sorry. He fought with his troops in the Battle of Marston Moor in 1644 and the Battle of Naseby in 1645. Something significant about these two battles is that he fought with his troops, and he actually had very little formal military training. He wasn't trained to do this. He fought side by side though with his troops, and even though they had no clue what the outcome was going to be, he kept motivating them and fighting with them, right alongside with them. One of his biggest strengths was being a leader. Despite his lack of training, he was one of the greatest leaders, especially his moral authority. That's one thing he was really known for. I kind of want to go over moral authority. So moral authority is authority premised on principles or fundamental truths which are independent or written or positive. As such, moral authority necessitates the existence of an adherence to truth. Because truth does not change, the principles of moral authority are immutable or unchangeable. These principles, which can be metaphysical or religious or of religious nature, are considered normative or for behavior, whether they can be embodied in written laws, and even if the community is ignoring or violating them. Therefore, the authoritativeness or force of moral authority is applied to the conscience of each individual, who is free to act according to or against it dictates. So moral authority has thus been defined as the fundamental assumptions that guide our perceptions of the world. A little more about Oliver Cromwell. He graduated from Sydney Sussex College in Cambridge, England. He was a farmer, parliamentarian, and military commander, like I already said. He grew up of great wealth. His grandfather was one of the 2 wealthiest landowners in Huntingdonshire. He went to school but returned home for a time to help his widowed mother and 7 unmarried sisters. Like I said, he was in the Huntingdonshire county. He was born in Huntington. Something cool, I just played in a golf tournament, and we played Huntington College, which I did a little bit of research just barely, and which actually comes from England, so that's kind of cool. I just played a school that I'm now doing a presentation on. Oliver was the 5th of 10 children and the only boy to survive infancy. His parents were very happy about that he was the only male, and I'm sure especially because of the success that he had later in his life, leading all of these armies and doing what he did for history. He died of natural causes, not in war, but it does say a lot about what he experienced in war, and he did suffer from some sicknesses and wounds. He married in 1620 when he was about 21 years of age to Elizabeth Bourchier. Don't know if I said that right. John Milton. John Milton was an English poet who served as a Civil War servant for the Commonwealth of England and later under Oliver Cromwell. He wrote at a time of religious, political instability and is best known for his epic poem Paradise Lost, 1677, written in blank verse, which is metrical lines but unrhymed, and it's almost always in iambic pentameter. Some more about John Milton. He was a poet, intellectual, and civil servant. He is best known for Paradise Lost, widely regarding an epic poem in English, together with Paradise Lost Regained and Samson and Antagonist. It confirms Milton's reputation as one of the greatest English poets. From the beginning of the English Civil Wars in 1642 to long after the restoration of Charles II as king in 1660, he espoused in all of his works a political philosophy that is opposed tyranny and state-sanctioned religion. His influence extended not only through the Civil Wars and Interregnum, but also to the American and French revolutions. In his work and theology, he valued liberty of conscience, the paramount importance of Scripture as a guide in matters of faith, and religious tolerance towards dissidents. As a civil servant, Milton became the voice of the English Commonwealth after 1649 through his handling of his international correspondence and his defense of the government against polemical attacks from abroad. The Interregnum. The Interregnum was from 1649 to 1660. The Interregnum was the period between the execution of Charles I on January 30th, 1649, and the arrival of his son Charles II in London on May 29th, 1660, which marked the start of the Revolution. So to tie together Oliver Cromwell and the Interregnum, Cromwell's rule over England is called the Protectorate and lasted from 1653 to 1658. Cromwell was a very powerful man due to his control over the Parliament's army and was part of the council established by the Rump Parliament to manage England in 1649. So Oliver Cromwell did a lot during the Interregnum because of his political knowledge and his knowledge as a leader in all of the armies. He really helped during that time. The relationship between Milton and the Interregnum. Milton was very into politics. I was very unaware of this. In the poem Paradise Lost, we read about fallen angels that are cast down to hell with Satan as their leader. During this time, Milton and the people could not see a heaven. They were going through so much political hell and just everything else that was so unclear to them that they didn't see an end. But Milton and his writings really helped the people through everything they were going through. And that is the end of my presentation.